meeting for Tuesday, January 10th, 2018. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Ms. Casaubon? Here. Mr. Lorne? Here. Mr. Richardson? Here. Mr. Richard? Here. Mr. Willie? Here. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Manella? Mr. Fitzmaurice? Here. Mr. Doherty? Here. Mr. Drum? Mr. Randolph?
We have a quorum. Public announcements, please turn off all phones and pagers. If you don't agree with the decision of this commission, we have appeal cards in the front, as well as we have speaker cards in case you want to speak on one of the events tonight. Public speaking, we'll be giving 10 minutes for each side and 5 minutes for rebuttal. If you're complete with your the case tonight and you want to continue talking, please go outside of the building because we can hear in the hallway. At this time, I ask everybody to stand for the invocation by Mr. Rudolph and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Fitzmaurice. Stand. Sorry.
Gracious Father, once again, we come to you to say thank you for all the blessings bestowed on our lives, watching over us, showing your grace and mercy all day. We thank you for this moment in time and for this meeting. We thank you for these commissioners. Lord, we ask that you give us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding we need. Just as the staff, we ask that you continue to bless them and the citizens that we represent. And all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Excuse me, Commissioner Randolph.
Yes, sir.
That's all. Staff, do we have any cases tonight that would like to be postponed or pulled from the consent calendar, from the calendar?
Commissioners, case number 2018-1053 PP and case number 2018-1106 PP have requested to be postponed.
I'm sorry, repeat those cases again?
Case number 2018-1053 PP, 2018-1105 PP, 2018-1106 PP.
So all three cases? are
All
preliminary.
three preliminary cases are requesting postponement.
Okay. I guess we'll have to go ahead and vote on each one of these. 2018-1053, before we do that, in your packets, there were, Commissioners, there was the approval of there were the minutes from last month's meetings. Can I get an approval on those?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a first move. Mr. Fitzmaurice made a motion to approve. Commissioner Randolph made a second. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Now we'll go to the postponements. Case 2018-1053, the preserve at Goodby Lakes, Ward 1, District 3, developer owner D.R. Horton, Gulf Coast, engineers Quality Engineering Surveying, Parish Council District Representative is Honorable James Thompson. It was postponed from the last month's meeting as well. Do we have a representative? Mr.
Sir.
Shane.
Jeff Shane, Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington. I represent the petitioner. I believe staff has actually recommended postponement of this consideration tonight as well. We're working with staff, and I hope that we'll be ready when we come back to you on August 14th.
And staff, you have no more comments, except you just like to postpone?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to agree with the postponement or disagree with it? If not, let's bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Willie.
Move to postpone.
Motion to postpone. Commissioner Casamon,
I'll second the motion to postpone.
second motion to postpone. Please vote. Motion to postpone. Granted. 2018-1105 PP, Providence Parks Phase 1, Ward 1, District 3, developer owner Providence Parks LLC, engineer SLD Engineering and Surveying, Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable James Thompson again. Staff, any comments on your part?
We advise postponement.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Paul Marone on behalf of the petitioner. As Mr. Watson said, they had some concerns, the staff did, with our submittal, particularly with some of the TIA issues, which we needed to get them some more information. They recommended tabling as a result. We concur with that and would ask that it be tabled so we can get them that information before next month's meeting.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience want to vote for this postponement or against it? If not, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Lauren. Motion to postpone by Commissioner Lauren. Commissioner Willie. Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comments? No? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Case 2018-1106, PP Lakeshore Estates Phase 4A, Ward 8, District 13. Developer owner D.R. Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast Engineer Duplantis Design Group, LLC, and the Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Michelle Blanchard. Staff?
Staff advises postponement.
Okay.
Petitioner concurs and would appreciate postponement.
Okay. Anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against the postponement? If not, I'll bring it back to the commissioner. Commissioner Willie.
Move to postpone on this item.
Motion to postpone. Commissioner Randolph. Second by Commissioner Randolph to postpone. Please vote.
Mr. Willie, would you like to vote?
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay. The next case is for public hearing, which again, the public is encouraged to give us their input if they like, is entering parish rights-of-way servitudes and easements. Entering the parish right-of-way, Admiral Nelson Drive and Hillary Drive, Ward 8, District 14. The request is to add a additional telecommunication cabinet to an existing location by AT&T Communication. The general location is Kings Point Subdivision, Phase 4, Lot 28, Admiral Street and Hillary Street in Slidell, and the Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Thomas J. Smith. Staff, do you have any concerns with this case?
I'll just read you the letter that we wrote. The Parish Planning Development Office received the attached request to install a telecommunication cabinet in accordance with Ordinance 10-2305. The Planning Commission must review the request when written objection is submitted to the Department of Development. Attached in the packet, you will find the submittal that AT&T submitted to us and to the adjacent property owners as required. Staff has reviewed the request and it complies with Parish ordinance.
Okay, thank you. And you are, ma'am?
Yes, I'm Linda Minus. I'm here on behalf of AT&T. And I'd like to give you a little background. In 2013, we obtained a permit to install a telecommunications cabinet on right-of-way at 1403 Hillary Drive in Slidell. At the time of the installation, AT&T prepared the location for future growth. The infrastructures were all put in place for the addition of a twin cabinet that would be placed back to back. The property owner nearest the cabinet took AT&T to court over the installation, citing devaluation of her property. After several court hearings on the matter, on November 9th, 2017, the case was finally settled, ruling in favor of AT&T. In the summer of 2017, the cabinet reached 98% capacity, and I was instructed to obtain a permit to install the additional cabinet. I began the process on September the 15th. After the court ruling in November, I attempted to obtain the approved permit from the Coop Drive office, but I was told it had to be picked up by AT&T installation contractor. In early of 2018, because of the overwhelming demand, the manufacturer of this cabinet placed it on back order, causing the 6-month time frame for our permit to expire. I'm here tonight to hopefully obtain your permission to install the second cabinet so services to the additional customers can be fulfilled. I'll answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody in support in the audience? Is there anybody against in the audience would like to come up and speak? If not, I'll bring it back to the, oh, we do have somebody. Go ahead. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Please give us your name and your address, please.
My name is Juanita Clark. My property is 1410 Avenelsa Drive, and I wrote everything that was stated. For as my knowledge, November 17, the case was not settled. The case did not become settled until this year. And it's still, how can I say, in the order of legal matter. The time limit has not ran out. So it can't be proved. I can give you the case number, you can look it up. I spoke to Ms. Helen Lombard, several of the homeowners. We are totally against it. It is considered a nuisance. I have a disability. My daughter has a disability. My gate was blocked. The nuisance is 91 feet across from neighbors and children, small children. So nevertheless, this matter has not been resolved. I don't know anything about continuation of new equipment. I didn't get the letter until May the 10th. As of May the 11th, when I spoke to Ms. Lombard, the nuisance of workers has ceased for several weeks. Ongoing from 2013, I have been dealing with issues that has worsened my health. So no, this matter is still up for legal. I could read you this. Property owner located in the Kingsmore subdivision, Phase 7 and Pinehurst subdivision, disapprove and object to Bell South Telecommunication, doing business as AT&T Louisiana South, to the proposed installation of any and all cabinets from 2013 to the present and the future, located at 1410 Avenelsa Drive, utility easement servitude adjacent to Hillary Street. I have servitude on my deeds. AT&T Louisiana South is not good for the community. Linda Martins approached me, Juanita Clark, on July 14, 2013, a Sunday afternoon, coming from getting medication. I was on my property, 1410 Avenelsa Drive, Slidell, stated that she had papers to be signed to give up rights to my property. I, Juanita Clark, to place an AT&T U-verse box down. I told her no. Linda Miners proceeded to let me know that she did not need my signature. she need my signature due to the fact she knew someone in the St. Tammany Parish Permit Office to get the papers she needed without my signature. I never signed, agreed, or gave her verbal for a waiver. After the formation, Linda Miners sent me a letter with a telephone number asking me to contact the St. Tammany Parish Permit Office on July the 19th, 2013. I called and spoke to Karen. She stated there was no papers filed for a request from AT&T for a permit. I read the letter to her, and she stated again she cannot locate in a document requesting a permit. I asked her, what should I do? Should I call next week? She told me there is no need to, due to the fact that there is no application on record for a permit from AT&T Corporation. AT&T Louisiana South is not good for the community. Now comes Linda Miners, the contract right-of-way agent for AT&T Louisiana South, and right-of-way acquisition specialist engineer for a buyer's engineer company, employee of interest affiliation with both companies as an employee, did not comply to the St. Tammany Parish Council Ordinance, Series 10-2305. For the year of 2013, Linda Miners has caused a nuisance. It's under the Chapter 14 nuisance of St. Tammany Parish, blocking my gate, Juanita Clark, private gate for EMT, emergency transits, interests. Due to residents' medical conditions, there is an continuous sound of idle motor noise, which sometimes I have to go outside to make sure a car is not on the corner of my house. And loud explosion from the AT&T U-verse box, which the cables, however, automatically were designed from the space shuttle years ago, or what they call it, the shuttle that goes up into space. Okay, from explosion from the AT&T Universe box, or B box, which is called, during a severe rainstorm, causes my walls to vibrate. It was caused encroachment that has caused my health to worsen so tremendous. I have a daughter with a disability, in and out, causes me, Juanita Clark, caused me not to have the right to a full quality enjoyment of my property and life. And the market value, as she said, of my property has been taken, or, as neighbors said, stolen without just due compensation. Linda Myers and all contractors with buyer's engineer with placing the AT&T Universe at Evan Nelson Hill Drive did trespass, blocked the view of the traffic and my private gate as a citizen, violated my civil and disability right. AT&T Louisiana South is not good for the community. I ask that the St. Tammany Parish employees and public officials do not dismiss, oversight, or assist with the compliance of the St. Tammany Parish codes and regulations for major corporations and maintenance for grass, debris, trash, destruction that is caused by outsiders whom impedes on or seek claim of homeowners' property. The grass, the debris, trash maintained and care have been provided by property owner Juanita Clark at 1410 Evanescence Drive since June of 1998. An invoice of cost is available with interest to be paid in full for Linda Miners with AT&T Corporation, Louisiana Buyers Engineer, all trespassers and impeders. Also, please help stop fraud committed by major corporations, which is continued to be regulated by the higher government agencies.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
so in essence, we were talking about if you're against them adding another utility, you're actually talking about, you're complaining about all
The
their
whole
equipment.
situation
Okay.
that happened.
All right, well, you've had your 10 minutes and we.
Okay, I was just trying to make sure I
No,
spoke
know.
early.
I think
understand.
I think this commission has
Okay,
gotten your
yes.
point.
Yes, okay.
I like
They're
to-
controlled by the Federal Trade Commissioner.
Okay, well, thank you.
Which continues on.
I'd like to bring up some, you have 5 minutes of
Rebuttal.
rebuttal for for the lady who was up here from AT&T first.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. And your name?
Jim Davis.
Mr. Davis, thank you.
Oh, do we have somebody else also against? Well, you've already used the 10 minutes worth of time. I'm sorry. You've already used the total 10 minutes. You have 10 total minutes, and it was already used by Ms. Clark. What's it? You may speak in rebuttal at this point, but after the representative from AT&T. That's the best way.
AT&T did go to court. Ms. Clark took this to the Louisiana courts. It was sent back to the lower court. It was ruled on, and as far as we know, it is complete. I don't know what else to tell you. I've been doing this for a very long time, as a lot of you know, and this is the first time I've ever been accused of the things that Ms. Clark said. Thank you.
Okay. Now for the rebuttal time you have 5 minutes of rebuttal time total. The gentleman wanted to speak as the rebuttal time? Good. Name and address, please.
My name is Imhotep Tehuti Haru L., the authorized representative of Carlin Sanders Jr., who lives at 1400 Hillary Drive. I do not consent to adding another box for AT&T in our neighborhood. It's hideously looking. It's already looked hideous as it is. I don't know what kind of radiation or any other type of harmful electronics that may be affecting us in that particular neighborhood. So I'm not happy about that. I never consented for them to do it, even though I appeared in court one day and they presented a piece of paper that appeared to have my signature. I have no recollection of signing any kind of document for them to initially put anything in that neighborhood. And of course, I do not want them to add anything else. I don't use AT&T. I don't know too many people in my neighborhood that's using UVerse. Most people that I know have Spectrum Charter Communications. We don't have that. Yet and still they keep adding the boxes right in front of our property, which lowers the property value. They could have put it in a discrete location, where there are near a park somewhere in the back, but they decided to put it right there by Miss Anita's fence and directly across the street from my house, less than 47 feet from my house to the street. So I'm not supporting that, and I don't support it.
Thank you, sir. There's still 3 minutes left for rebuttal, if anybody else would like to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis, Linda Mine has continued to say for years that she's been doing this. You could do something for so long and not be aware that you're not doing it correctly. And I'm sorry to say that she did not comply with the St. Tammany Parish ordinance.
Okay, is that the end of the rebuttal? Okay. I have a question. Let's address it to our legal counsel, please. Would you address this situation for us, please, and explain to us? Because this is something new to this commission, actually. Go ahead. Push it again. Push it again. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Davis, That's a broad question, and I'll try to be as concise as I can. There is, in fact, as been mentioned, an ordinance of the parish that allows for the place of what is called utility structures in the parish right-of-way, which is basically the area where a road passes, plus its shoulders or additional space for drainage ways, sidewalks, etc., as long as they don't obstruct the use of that right-of-way and following certain criteria for those placements. That's how the utility box that is there now was placed. Now the applicant, AT&T, is requesting another box to be placed at that location. The original provisions within the ordinance envision utility boxes being permitted within the right-of-way between 3 cubic feet in size and 45 cubic feet in size. What is currently out there, I believe, is somewhere in the area of 33 cubic feet in size. And according to the AT&T letter dated May 11th, they are proposing to install the second half of a telecommunications cabinet adjacent to the one installed and is there now. There seems to me to be two different ways to look at what AT&T is proposing to install, and perhaps Ms. Miners can expound on what their intent is, because if they intend to place another box immediately adjacent to the existing box and essentially have it look like one single box, even though made of two parts, then one could argue that it is going to be resulting in a 66 cubic foot utility cabinet, which would violate the ordinance, which doesn't allow for boxes to be larger than 45 cubic feet in size. However, if this is merely an intent to place an additional secondary 33 cubic foot box next to an existing 33 cubic foot box, then one could argue that it is essentially two boxes that meet the parish size limitations but merely sit side by side. Unfortunately, the parish regulations are silent as to the express permissibility of two or more boxes being side by side or within close proximity of each other within a certain location. But I think it must be noted that in the ordinance, in the preamble of the ordinance that adopted these provisions in 2010, and I quote, that the couple of points that the ordinance makes in its preamble is that the proper general maintenance and safety conditions of the parish right-of-way may be compromised by the placement and location of above-ground utility structures. And above-ground utility structures have the potential to detract from green spaces and general aesthetics of a given area. So in the ordinance, it's expressed that there is a concern about the placement of these boxes within a particular area, certainly within parish rights-of-way. But I think also with the realization that technology advances, and this ordinance resulted from an advance in technology for the provision of communication services by AT&T. This ordinance was developed to allow for the installation of these utility structures within parish right-of-way for the general welfare and use of the parish public, provided certain conditions and requirements are met as spelled out in the ordinance. But to the extent that I can give you a legal direction as to how the commission should rule on this particular application, all I can state is what the ordinance says and doesn't say. And I would suggest that it would be appropriate for the commission to make its own determination based on what it perceives to be the intent of the ordinance in regulating these types of installations in conjunction with what AT&T is applying for.
Okay.
And quite frankly, that's why I suggested maybe Ms. Miners can shed more light on what is being applied for, because the diagram that has been submitted and is in your packet seems to be unclear whether it's going to be at the end of installation of the second unit, assuming it happens, a resulting single large unit or two separate smaller units side by side.
It is two separate units. If you look at the pictures that were attached, you can see that the infrastructure was put there, but it is totally different. It's just that they put them back to back. But it is, we put the first one, and then as future development comes along, we then have to put the second one. But it will all be on that same slab that you're looking at on those pictures.
Are those cabinets attached to each other?
Not necessarily, no. They do have something that goes across the top and the sides that would cover so that there wouldn't be rodents and such that got in between them. It was easier cleaning. I don't know if you would consider that as being one cabinet, but they are separate. As you can see that the infrastructure is there. It's showing on those pictures, but it is separate from the first box.
Thank you. With that being said, and I appreciate Mr. Savant giving us his legal interpretation of this, I'll bring it back to the commission. Mr. Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There seems to be a question as to whether or not and how the courts ruled on this. And with that in mind, I think we need to allow legal to look this up during the month and bring it back to us next month and know exactly what we're looking at so that we don't violate some ruling that the courts may have or may have not made on this. So with that in mind, I would move to postpone this for 1 month to our next meeting.
I have a motion to postpone by Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Lauren.
Ms. Myers, could I ask you a question? If the box is at 98% capacity right now, are there people who cannot get telephone service or high-speed internet service?
High-speed internet service is our big seller, and that's what we need this box to provide. We don't have any, it was at 98%. I'm sure it's full now, so no new customers will be allowed to get fast internet.
So by postponing it for a month, we're postponing people from being able to get high-speed internet service?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Casabon.
I'm sorry, you just stay up there, I know. I have a question. I think I heard Ms. Clark say something about paper signed, and how did y'all get acquisition to this piece of property? Did y'all, was it part of the developers?
The developers left this piece of property for utilities and such. It's the only one in the general area that we were able to get on. Unfortunately, it happened to be by Ms. Clark's property.
Okay.
But there is nothing, if you look at the subdivision layout, we tried to find another location, and there was just nothing else available. There is also a manhole that is on that same location. There was a cross box that had been placed there initially, and then this box was placed in close proximity with the 6-foot slab, with the intention that in the future, we would need to put the second cabinet on that location.
From the look of the drawing, that, like you said, that has new cabinet location and stuff, you wouldn't move the rest of it, so this particular spot is going to be here, whether we allow them to add the next one or not, which would be, if there is a need, we are denying people access to communications and stuff. I guess I could let me ask Ms. Clark. You can sit down. Ms. Clark. Ms. Clark, was this communication area, was it there when you built your house or bought your house? Was it there?
Which one?
The one we're discussing. Your house is next door to it, you said? Was it there when you bought your house or built your house?
South Central Bell communication box was to the back easement. I have easement and servitudes, and
But this one, they built it after you bought your house or built your house there?
it was put there after the, I can't answer that.
Okay.
All I know, on my deeds, South Central Bell utility equipment is to the east. That's to the west of the back easement.
Well, I'm just saying that they were given this particular parcel by the developer to put this particular unit.
When
That
did
I
they
just wondered how, we have to have utilities put in before we start, finish a subdivision and stuff so they can have access to the utilities. And I just wondered if it was there when you purchased your home or whatever. So, okay, you can't answer when it was there. I am against the postponement because I feel like this particular unit was made to have an additional box. I don't see them moving the box, so whatever problem Ms. Clark has with the one, I don't think adding another one, it's still going to be there and stuff, so I'm against the postponement.
The, on my deeds, it's not at the right location. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. I mean, I don't have papers. Y'all have papers showing the location? Well, I have papers showing that it's not on the correct location.
You have one of the whole subdivision? The whole subdivision? That's what I was talking about. They put these in, or the locations before they finish the subdivisions. Is
Okay.
what they normally do.
Well, on my deeds, it's saying to the east. The box is to the west. At the back easement. There is no right-of-way on my deeds.
That, it's like a developer's thing. We don't know about that.
The state regulates right-of-ways, the state government.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Randolph.
Excuse me, may I answer Ms. Casbon's question? The crossbox was there originally, and then as the telecommunications has moved forward with internet and we needed to have the box to provide the internet, that's when the 6x6 slab was added
Okay.
that you're looking at.
Okay.
But the original box was
Was there.
there, and a manhole is also there. I think what Ms. Clark is discussing is the easement that runs across her property at the rear of her property,
Okay.
which we did not get on.
Okay.
Basically, you answered my question. I wanted to find out, and I wanted to differentiate right-of-way, servitude, easement, okay? And I wanted to find out from you, listening to Ms. Clark, she is suggesting that where you are now, the way I'm understanding it, where you are now is not the original plan of that subdivision to where you should have been. Is that true?
No. That
Okay.
area that's in between the road and Miss Clark's fence was for utilities. There are utilities that were there, and we just added to it. But I think what Miss Clark, as I said, was talking about was the easement that was across the rear of her property, which is to the east. And we utilized the street right-of-way, which is shown on the plot plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Drum.
Ms. Clark. When did you move into your house?
1998, and it was destroyed with Katrina and Rita in 2005.
Okay, when you originally moved into your house and you looked outside, did you see this box?
Which box?
The one we've been talking about?
Not the box she's talking about.
No, the one that we
The
have a
South
picture.
Citrus.
We have a picture
No,
of the box.
not that box. That box was never there.
So when did they put it in?
They put that box there 2013.
2013.
Yes, and the picture that I received in the mail from Linda Miners, that's not the box. That's street floods. It's flooding there now. And they blocked my gate for emergency. They knew the gate was there. So I have my deeds.
That's all right, I don't need your deed, I just
Okay.
needed that question answered.
Yeah, no, that box wasn't there.
Okay, the other lady, may I speak with you, please? I forgot your name.
Ms. Myers.
Ms. Myers, I apologize.
The original box that I was talking about was the cross box that is to this right side of your picture.
Okay. Now,
That's the larger box.
the larger box.
That one was there. That's the cross box that was there.
That was there
Yes.
when?
That was there from whenever they put the subdivision in.
Okay, now I've dealt with electricity, control boxes, and all that kind of stuff. Looking at this one that you want to add to,
Right.
okay, the two are going to have to be connected.
No, sir.
They're not, then how are they going to? Because
Because
you
the
have a
in-
connection point right here.
They, on the other, there is infrastructure that was put to that location where we're going to place the new bill.
Uh-huh.
So it's like an independent box.
Okay, because, looking at this, there's a cross connector, and you would shove one box up against the other one so that the two would switch back and forth.
Not sure.
Because I've looked at this, and that's what you have here.
As I said, it is an independent box, but they may put a cross connect between them. I'm not sure.
Okay, and this is going to control just internet? I mean, it's going to control the internet, computers, or is it telephones and all that?
Everything, yes. It's 2 feet wide, 4 feet high. I think you have a diagram that shows what it looks like.
Yeah, it shows us the diagram of the box, but it didn't show us everything. Just a here I am picture, you know?
I'm sorry, sir.
That's all right. Yeah, I have that, yeah. Thank you very much.
Mr. Drum, you finished?
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll give it back to Commissioner Randolph.
Okay, just, I know it's a small technicality, and it's something that I think we need to tweak or work on, because this is the first that I've heard anything concerning utilities on right-of-ways. So I think we need to look at the ordinance itself because it lends to interpretation. Not necessarily the number of boxes, but it just says the size of the individual boxes. So with that in mind, I cannot suggest that we would be non-compliant because the ordinance does not technically address the number of boxes or the number of cubic feet. It just says from 3 to 45. And it doesn't say 3 need to be 45 feet or up to 45 feet. It doesn't say 10 need to be up to 45 cubic feet. So I just have to say that. I think we need to tweak that. And
Are you making a motion?
no.
There's a motion on the
We
floor
have a
to
motion on the
postpone.
floor to postpone. You're not making a motion to
Yes,
second?
yes, I second.
You're seconding the motion.
I second.
We have a motion on the floor to postpone and a second by Mr. Doherty and a second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote.
Well,
Wait.
What?
Done, just hit done.
No, once
And
you
then-
make a first and a second, you can't.
You better race.
Right. Once a motion to postpone has been made and the second has been made, there's no more discussion on the subject. We have to vote. Other than on the postponement. Oh, okay. So now we're discussing the postponement. Commissioner Lauren.
Okay. Mr. Randolph makes a good point. But let me point out to you one thing real quick. I've been away from the telephone company for 30 years. But if you look at the picture that's in the packet, the box that's on the right-hand side of the picture, the kind of olive green box, that's put in at the same time that the sewage, electricity, all the other boxes, all the other above-ground things are put in. As technology changed and they came out with UVerse and high-speed internet, which everybody and his brother wants, it became necessary to co-locate the box you see on the left side. They have a physical capacity of how many units they can serve. But understand when we postpone it, what we're postponing. If you're familiar with the term voice over internet protocol, I have UVerse in my home. If I lose my internet connection from AT&T, I lose my television, my telephone, and my high-speed internet. All three go down at the same time because it's all being provided over the internet. Okay? So if people in this area, if we postpone it for a month, we're postponing people from getting any services for a month or longer. And we need to do that knowledgeably. We need to know that's what we're doing when we vote to postpone. Okay? It's the only point I was trying to make.
Thank you. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I have a question about the postponement. How long is it? 1 month? And if Commissioner Randolph's points are about the ordinance, that's not going to change in a month. I just don't know what'll change in a month. other than possibly looking into a court decision. I'll just make that statement.
Commissioner Randolph.
My only concern is not just the service, because I understand what you're saying, Mr. Lauren, in that you have the quote bundle, if you will. There are some residents that do not have UVerse, but they may have AT&T internet, they may have Charter TV, et cetera, et cetera. That piece, I express a concern about. However, what my major concern is to make sure that this commission doesn't vote on something just because we're providing the service, but also because we're protecting the interests of the residents. That was my concern. Okay.
Is there anybody else want to speak? If not, we have a motion on the floor to postpone by Commissioner Darity and a second by Mr. Randolph. Please vote.
Motion denied.
Motion denied. The motion to postpone is denied. Bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do appreciate that there's some concern about an open court case. That seemed to be the biggest issue that we need to get resolved. That being said, this structure is already located in that location. The pad's already in that location, and if the courts ultimately rule that that's not going to happen, in my understanding, it's a parish right-of-way, they can deal with it at the appropriate time. I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richard. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any more information? If not, please vote. This is the motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Motion approved. Thank you. Okay, we don't have any entering the Tammany Trace. The next is going to be minor subdivisions. Minor subdivisions, 2018-1042 MSP. Minor subdivision of a 20.048 acre into two 10.024 acre parcels A and B in Ward 8, District 11. Owner is Joseph and Christopher Audubert, and the surveyor is John Cummings. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Steve Stefanik. Staff, any comments?
Right here. It's okay. The reason for the public hearing is that the proposed lots do not meet the minimum 150-foot road frontage for the A2 suburban district. A waiver of the requirement is being requested. The property is located at the end of a parish-maintained road, and the applicant does not have the ability to create more road frontage. Each parcel is requesting a reduction of from 150 feet to 32 feet due to the location of the property. Since a waiver of the regulations are required in order to approve this minor subdivision request relative to the lot width issue, a 2/3 majority vote of full membership of the commission is needed to approve pursuant to section 40-100 waiver of the regulations.
Do we have the applicant here? Please state your name and address.
Christopher Audubert, 37164 West Thorn Road, Pearl River, Louisiana.
Any more information to give to the commission?
No, that was it.
No? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak for this or against it? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, these are large parcels, and I understand about the road. I'll make a motion to approve with the waiver.
I've got a motion to approve with the waiver by Commissioner Casabon. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Any more information by the commissioners? If not, please vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Case 2018-1082 MSP, a minor subdivision of lots 4A, 4B1, 4B2, 4C, and a 35-foot servitude of access, Ward 3, District 3. Owner is Larry Baham. Surveyor is Nobles and Associate. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable James Thompson. Staff?
A public hearing, turn my mic on. A public hearing is required due to the waiver request of the lot width. The applicant is required to also construct a private drive as one or more parcels are accessed by said drive. The applicant is requesting a waiver of the 150-foot lot frontage regulation for the A2 suburban district. The applicant could meet the requirement if the proposed 35-foot servitude is incorporated into lots 4B1, 4B2, and 4C rather than its own servitude parcel. The owner is proposing to create 4 buildable parcels from a combined 19 acres. Because more than one of the parcels are accessed by private drive, the drive must be constructed to parish standards in accordance to Section 125, 189 minimum construction standards for a private drive. And a waiver of the regulations are required in order to approve this minor subdivision relative to the lot width issue, and a 2/3 majority vote of the commission is needed.
Thank you. Do we have the owner or developer here? Please come forward. State your name and your address, please.
Larry Baham, 11421 Lee Settlement Road, Folsom.
And you just want to go ahead and subdivide the property?
Yes, I want to sell my brother an acre up front.
And looking at the chart, you're going to be building a turnabout at the end of the road, the private road?
It's already basically there. The road is already there.
Oh, the road is already
and
there.
There's room for a turnaround.
And what about where the staff has concerns that you could use a certain side of your property to do that? You can't do that for some reason?
I'm sorry, say again?
The staff was mentioning something about that you could actually,
What I was saying. Instead of having the private drive as its own parcel, it could be overlaid on top of the front 3 parcels. But he's only asking a waiver of, because I think the width is 149.99.
oh, okay.
So it's not really necessary, but I didn't make the comment.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody for this in the audience, or anybody who would like to speak against this? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll make a motion to approve.
With the waiver?
With the waiver, yes.
With the waiver. I've got a motion to approve with the waiver. Commissioner Lauren? I have a second by Commissioner Lauren. Legal would like to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I don't know if it's for staff or Mr. Baham, but I'm looking at the survey, and there's a denotion of a 35-foot servitude of access. Is that a freestanding parcel on its own, owned by an individual, and if so, whom? Or is it within one of these other parcels?
It's its own parcel that will be, it's a private drive, so it'll be maintained by the adjacent property owners. And they'll have, as part of their submittal to the Department of Development, they will have to give their maintenance agreement to development.
And what's your appreciation as far as who owns that servitude of access parcel?
It'll be jointly between the 4 parcels, or the 2 parcels that are using it, because 2 have road frontage.
Okay. I mean, because I don't know, as long as there's an understanding, maybe Mr. Baham, you can explain what you envision as far as who's going to be responsible for maintaining that servitude of access.
Yes, I will.
So you by yourself?
front acre to my brother, so we'll only be two families there. So I will be maintaining it.
Okay, and then Lot 4C you also own?
Yes,
And Lot 4A you also own?
yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, question of staff too, just to clear me up on this. Because that was a good point that legal had about, is that a separate piece of parcel from the property owners? But along with that 35-foot turnaround, is that going to be a servitude as well? Because that's inside that rear parcel. And it's my understanding Mr. Bayham is supposed to bring this all up to parish code. Is that what it is, or maintain it to parish code?
Standards for a private drive.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by, Commissioner Fitzmaurice and a second by Commissioner Lauren. Any more information? If not, please vote with the waiver.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Case 2018-1098 MSP, a minor subdivision of parcel E into parcels E1, E2, and E3, Ward 5, District 6. Owner is Wendy Jarrett, and surveyor Nobles and Associate, and the Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Richard Tanner. Staff, your comments.
A public hearing is required due to the fact that parcel E was already a part of a previous minor subdivision. Staff has no objection to the request.
Okay. Is the petitioner here? Yes, ma'am. Come on up and.
Just want to ask that you correct the spelling of my name, please.
Okay.
It's Jarred.
ED.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and with that being said, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Casabon.
I make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve. Commissioner Richardson. Second. On that note, any more discussion? No? Let's vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, no petitions, no revocations, no re-subdivision reviews, no dormant, no tentatives. All preliminaries have been postponed. Let's go into final subdivision reviews. Final subdivision review, 2018-1050 FP, The Willows, Ward 1, District 3. Developer owner is Rather LLC. Engineer is Richard C. Lambert. Consultants LLC. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable James Thompson. And this case was postponed from the June 12th, 2018 meeting. Staff?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office. Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on July 2nd, 2018. The inspection disclosed that all of the concrete roads are constructed, road shoulders are constructed, and the roadside ditches need final grading. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. General comments: number 1, crack filler has been installed in the majority of cracks but needs to be completed. 2, tree clearing needs to be removed from the site. 3, a letter of acceptance for the responsibility and perpetual maintenance and operation of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider. Informational items: should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 1,868 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for $41,100 for a period of 2 years. Staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. Mandatory developmental fees are required as followed: road impact fees, $1,077 per lot times 25 lots for $26,925. Drainage impact fee, $1,114 per lot for 25 lots for $27,850. Fees are due before the plats can be signed. The subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the July 10, 2018 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you.
Good
Yes, sir.
evening. My name is Henry Billiot. I'm here representing Ryer LLC, and we're requesting final approval of the Willows subdivision. There were a number of issues that weren't complete last time. As of now, my understanding is that most everything has been complete. The crack filler has been done. There might be some more trees that need to be removed. The letter of acceptance I have here. All the fees, the mandatory impact fees, are all been paid.
Thank you. Is everybody in the audience for or against this case? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you. This is either staff or Mr. Villiot. Why are we having problems with cracking on a concrete street?
It wasn't the cracking, it's the sealant that goes in the joints.
Oh, okay, it wasn't cracking at all then?
No,
It
the
was
sealant goes in the
okay.
joints.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve
I
this.
have a motion to approve by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner Randolph. Yes.
Thank you.
And I have a second. Any more communication? If not, please vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Final subdivision case 2018-1051 FP, Paraloo Trace, Ward 1, District 1. Developer owner is Coast Builders LLC, engineer Kyle Associates LLC, Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Marty Dean. This case too was postponed from the June 12th meeting. Staff?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on June 28, 2018. The inspection disclosed that all of the asphalt roads are constructed, road shoulders are constructed, and the roadside ditches are functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. General comment number 1, resolution regarding the stability of the roadside ditch along Paraloo Road is outstanding and must be finalized before the plats are signed. 2, if the developer is unable to resolve item 1 before the plats are recorded, then a performance obligation in the amount of $95,000 must be established before the plats are signed. 3, a letter of acceptance for the responsibility and perpetual maintenance of the operation of the water and sewer systems not been issued by the utility provider. 4, a negative bacteriological report relative to the construction of the project's water systems not been issued by LDH. On the final plat, number 5, remove the driveway culvert table from the plat and include it on the as-built paving and drainage plan. 6, drainage servitudes for the detention pond need to be shown on the plat and the paving and drainage plan. 7, the swale between lots 12 and 13 must be located inside of a drainage servitude. The as-built paving and drainage plan. 8, provide as-built cross-sections for the north and south pond. 9, updated as-built survey information must be provided as the roadside ditches and private drainage swales appear to have been regraded subsequent to the as-built submittal. The provided as-built elevations show numerous high points that do not reflect the field conditions at the time of the inspection. The as-built sewer and water plan, number 10, provide invert elevations for the sewer line going into the lift station. 11, provide as-built slopes for the sewer lines. 12, provide cross-section of Paraloo Road showing the locations of the installed water and sewer lines, including the depths and locations of the line. 13, the water line along Paraloo Road has been completed subsequent to the final submittal. To the submittal for final approval, the as-built plans must be updated to show that this work has been completed. Informational items, should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 1,250 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for $27,500 for a period of 2 years. Mandatory developmental fees are required as follows. Road impact fees, $1,077 per lot times 25 lots for $26,925. Drainage impact fee, $1,114 per lot times 25 lots for $27,850. Fees are due before the plats can be signed. The subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line, and revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the July 10, 2018 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you. Mr. Maroon.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Paul Marone on behalf of Coast Builders LLC. As noted, this case was tabled last month so that we could complete some of the field work. All of the field work as far as the construction activities are complete. However, there is a new issue that has come up that is referenced in the staff comments, and that is the slope issue with the roadside ditches. That is an issue that came up just last week. The project has been constructed in accordance with the plans and specs. However, in doing so, what staff noticed and what my client noticed is that there are some issues, particularly where the culvert, at the end of the culverts at our entranceway. And there's some scouring or wash away there that is creating a problem at the roadway. Mr. Watson and Mr. Sidney Fontenot were kind enough to meet us on site on Friday afternoon to look at it, to try to determine what is the best way to resolve it. We are committed to resolving that. It is not resolved today, in part because we want to make sure before we go correct that issue that it's consistent with what the staff is looking for. Mr. Fontenot was going to be talking again with Mr. Watson in Public Works, hoped to get back with me today or tomorrow. I have not yet heard from him, but I know that he is working on that. The staff comments have suggested that since this is an issue that is not resolved today, couldn't be resolved today, that a performance obligation be put in place. We are in agreement with that. We would be happy to post the performance obligation so that we can move forward with the plat while we address this issue. The talks on Friday, I think, were fruitful. There are some good ideas that were discussed at that point, but we just need confirmation that that is the proper way to go ahead and fix that. So that is the only construction-related work that is outstanding. It is new because, again, that did not exist until, quite frankly, we finished the grade on the ditches and had the driveway culverts installed along Parallel Road. So we would ask for your approval, subject to the posting of the performance obligation for this one item. All of the other items are plat revisions or as-built revisions. In regards to number 9 and the as-built and some of the high points in the ditch, some of those ditches did have to be regraded to get positive flow. That work has been done, and those as-builts are being updated to reflect the positive flow and that those high points have been knocked down. So there is nothing here that we can't resolve very shortly, except for potentially the issue with those roadside slope situations. But again, we'd be happy to post the performance obligation to make sure that once the resolution is determined, there is a mechanism to ensure that we do that work. And we are committed to doing that work, as we made clear to them, Mr. Fontenot and Mr. Watson. We were aware of these issues at the end of the culverts. We are prepared to fix them, and there's no question about our commitment to do so. I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have with regards to any of the items on the list or with regards to the performance obligation, but we'd appreciate your consideration and approval of final 4 Parallel Trace this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Is anybody in the audience would like to speak for the final subdivision review or against? No, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Randolph?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion I would like to approve the final with the performance obligation.
Okay, I have a motion to approve with the performance obligation by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Fitzmaurice?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any more information from the commission? If not, please vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Final subdivision 2018-1101 FP Terabella, Phase 1A9, Ward 1, District 1. Developer owner Terabella Group LLC. Engineer is Kelly McHugh and Associates LLC. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Marty Dean. Staff? Oh, did I skip one? Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Back up, reverse. Case 2018-1097 FP, Ashton Park Phase 3, Ward 8, District 8, Developer Owner First Horizon Inc. Engineer is Bank Market Group. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Chris Ganulet. Staff, any comments?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on June 26, 2018. The inspection disclosed that all of the concrete roads, curbs are constructed, and the subsurface drainage is functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. General comments, number one, the legal description and the subdivision footprint need to include the detention pond. Two, as-built typical sections of the pond, which include elevation of the top and bottom, must be provided. Three, an as-built signage plan must be submitted. Four, a letter of acceptance for the responsibility and perpetual maintenance of the operation of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider. Five, a negative bacteriological report relative to the construction of the project's water system has not been issued by LDH. The final plat, number six, include the dedication statement that the ponds and drainage servitudes will also be maintained by the HOA. Seven, including the dedication statement that the POA areas will be maintained by the HOA. Eight, the provided as-built plans show the top embankment of the detention pond encroaching on numerous lots within filing 3. The approved preliminary plan stamped 11/30/2017 showed the top of pond being located outside of all property lines. 9, revise the legal description for Ashton Park filing 3 to include West Detention Pond. 10, revise restrictive covenant number 2 to state drainage servitude to be consistent with the plan set. 11, there's a 2.5-foot call-out dimensioned on the north side of lot 186. Staff does not understand why this is needed. Please remove if not necessary. On the as-built master drainage and grading plan, 12, provide as-built elevations for the pond bottom of the detention pond. 13, show installed riprap on the as-built drainage plan at all outfall pipes. 14, the provided as-built elevations show numerous sections of pond bank that don't meet the required 23.5 elevation. Regrade this area to ensure conformance with previously approved plan. 15, remove all future filing callouts from all plans. On the as-built sanitary sewer and water plan, 16, provide as-built slopes for the gravity sewer lines. Informational items, should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 2,797 linear feet at $25 per linear foot for $69,900 for a period of 2 years. The staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. Mandatory developmental fees are as follows. Road impact fee, $1,077 per lot for 70 lots for $75,390. Drainage impact fee, $1,114 per lot for 70 lots for $77,980. Fees are due before the subdivision plats can be signed. The subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line, and revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the July 10, 2018 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Russell Rome. I'm with the Benchmark Group, 11328 Pennywood Avenue, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We have reviewed the comments submitted by the staff, and we understand that all the items will need to be rectified prior to signing of the plat. And we would ask for your approval.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience for final approval or against? With that being said, I'll bring it back to the floor. Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Watson, on the punch list, items 8 and 14, would you consider those minor or major?
I don't know how they're going to have to revise, the edge of the detention pond versus where the lots are at, but it's just something that's going to have to be revised.
So it's going to be, if we approve this, then it's going to be up to staff to be sure that these are completed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm not real satisfied, since we don't know if these are considered minor or major items. To me, they're considered major. But if you're confident that it'll get done and done properly before any plats are signed.
It will be done properly, yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve, subject to items on the list.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any more information? If not, please vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Now we'll go to 2018-1101 FP, Terabella Phase 1A9, Ward 1, District 1, developer owner Terabella Group LLC, engineer Kelly McHugh and Associates LLC, Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Marty Dean. Staff?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction. The final inspection was made on June 26, 2018. The inspection disclosed that all of the asphalt roads are constructed and subsurface drainage is functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed prior to the plats being signed. General comments, number one, no signage was installed for this phase. As of the 6/26/18 site inspection, signage must be installed in accordance with the previously approved signage plan, and an as-built signage plan must be submitted. Number two, revise the dedication of Terabella Phase 1A9 to state that the Owners Association shall, under Section 5, perform repair, maintenance, and replacement of the street surface and drainage structures within the alleyways as set forth on this plat. 3, add a restrictive covenant that states that the homeowners association will be responsible for the operation and maintenance of the 10-foot private drainage servitudes. 4, blue reflectors in front of the fire hydrants were not installed at the time of inspection. 5, a letter of acceptance for responsibility and perpetual maintenance of the operation of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider. 6, a negative bacteriological report relative to the construction of the project's water system has not been issued by LDH. On the as-built paving and drainage plan, number 7, the provided as-built elevations show the constructed alley behind lots number 310 and 311 is approximately 1 foot lower than the required elevation and will hold water revised to address this conflict. 8, provide as-built information for the park area to show that it drains in accordance with the approved preliminary plan. The as-built sewer and water plan. Number 9, provide as-built information for the new sewer manhole in front of lot 344. 10, provide as-built slope information for all newly installed gravity sewer lines. Informational items, should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, the warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 2,093 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for $46,000 for a period of 5 years. The staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request subject to the developer complying with all comments, and no plats are to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. No mandatory developmental fees are required at this time since the developer has entered into a voluntary developmental agreement and has paid all current fees. The subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line, and revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the July 10, 2018 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you. Mr. Morone?
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Paul Morone on behalf of Terabella Group LLC. In regards to Phase 1A9 of Terabella and these 32 lots. A few of the outstanding items on the punch list that I'd like to address and give you a current status on. Item number 1 with regards to the signage is complete. All of the signage has been installed in accordance with the approved signage plan. Item number 4, all of the blue reflectors are in place in front of the hydrants. Item number 6, the clear bacteriological report has been received from LDH and is approved. With regards to items 2 and 3, I've spoken with the engineer and with the developer, and we concur with both of those comments and will comply with both with regards to the 10-foot private drainage servitudes as well as the maintenance of the alley and the drainage structure within the alley. All of the other items are as-built updates or plat revisions. There's no additional field work of any nature that is required for this particular phase. We'd be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have with regards to any of the outstanding items, but would respectfully request your approval for final of Phase 1A9 of Terabella.
Thank you. Do we have anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against this final subdivision? If not, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Randolph. Motion to approve by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Drum.
Paul? Is the homeowner association mandatory?
Yes.
Because I don't see it written.
Yes. What you see there is really not the master association document. There is a very thick, detailed set of restrictive covenants that are filed with the clerk of court that subject the entire property to them, and in there There is very strong language that require mandatory compliance with the homeowners association.
Okay, and number 10, it says each establishment within, what's a within? What's a within, yeah.
A within.
Oh, okay.
It's a within without the H.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Richard.
Thanks. Hey, Paul, I hate to make you stand back up, but on that, the one question I have on the as-built and drainage plan, item 7, that you said is going to be resolved, is it built a foot lower than it was supposed to be, or is just the plat incorrect?
There was an error on the as-built.
Okay.
The on-ground elevations are correct.
Excellent. With that, I'll second the motion.
I'll have I'm sorry, motion by Mr. Randolph and a second by Mr. Richard. Please vote.
Motion approved.
Oh, motion approved. Okay. Case number 2018-1102 FP, Abita Ridge Phase 1, Ward 3, District 2, developer owner Abita River Park LLC, engineers Kelly McHugh and Associates LLC, Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable David Fitzgerald. Staff, your comments, please.
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on June 26, 2018. The inspection disclosed that all of the asphalt roads are constructed, road shoulders are constructed, and the roadside ditches are functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. General comments: number 1, as-built drawings of sewer and water lines along Harrison Avenue need to be submitted. 2, the parish legal department's finalizing the developmental agreement, which replaces the need for the 2 left turn lanes required by the traffic study. This agreement must be executed before the plats can be signed. On the final plat, number 3, the waiver for the 30-foot driveway setback was withdrawn by the developer at the May 10, 2016 Planning Commission meeting. Therefore, a waiver of this regulation must be granted by the Planning Commission tonight, or the restrictive covenant must be revised to state 60 feet. The as-built paving and drainage plan, number 4, provide as-built elevation shots showing the required cut work was completed in accordance with the approved drainage plan. 5, provide additional as-built elevation shots showing the detention pond was constructed in accordance with the approved drainage plan and verify the required capacity is provided. As-built sewer and water plan. 6, remove install air release valve comment as this work has been completed. 7, show as-built sewer slopes for all gravity sewer lines. 8, provide as-built lift station invert elevations. As-built SWIP and signage plan. Number 9, remove the construction entrance call-out hatching as this is no longer existing. Informational items: should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 2,630 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for $57,900 for a period of 2 years. The staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments, and no plats are to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. Mandatory developmental fees are as follows. Road impact fee, $1,077 per lot times 47 lots for $50,619. Drainage impact fee, $1,114 per lot for 47 lots for $52,358. Fees are due before the subdivision plats can be signed. The subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line, and revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the July 10, 2018 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you, staff. Paul, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Paul Marone again, this time on behalf of Abita Park LLC. With regards to a few of the staff comments, in particular, item number 2, dealing with the developmental agreement for the work along Harrison. I spoke with Mr. Joey Alphonse, counsel for the parish, at the end of last week. He advises that the developmental agreement has been drafted and is being circulated within his office for review and comment. He hopes to have that to me as soon as possible, depending on the timing of the review, hopefully by the end of this week, perhaps beginning of next. So that is imminent. We're prepared for that agreement to comment on it and have it executed and to comply with our contribution toward the work that is going to be taking place along Harrison. With regards to item number 3, as staff noted, we did withdraw the request for the waiver, and we do not need the waiver, so we will revise the plat to reflect that we'll be in compliance with that 60-foot distance. All other items are plat revisions and in-office corrections, which Mr. McHugh's office will be making. There are no additional items that need to be done out in the field with regards to construction in any manner. So we would respectfully request your approval of this phase 1 of Abita Ridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak for or against this final subdivision review? If not, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Darty.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This would be to staff and possibly Mr. Morone. On item 2, I don't travel Harrison every day, but I travel it often enough to know that it's a narrow road, and I'm not sure why we would agree to do away with the left turning lanes. Mr. Savant, you are legal counsel for us, and Paul, you know.
No, sir, I'm not familiar with the particulars of the developmental agreement.
Paul, yeah, I know that you said that somebody with the parish and.
Correct. So what the story with regards to this is that our traffic study required that we construct 2 turning lanes.
Right.
And we were prepared and are prepared to construct those turning lanes, except the parish has a project that is imminent for the widening and the improvements of Harrison Avenue. As a result, it didn't make sense for us to go in and put in those turning lanes, then the parish to come right behind us and then either tear that up. So what the developmental agreement says is that, developer, you're required to put in 2 turning lanes. The cost of that is X. You're going to pay X to the parish, and we're going to incorporate that work as part of our overall project.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Okay.
And imminent is a month, 6 months, a year?
That I don't know. Perhaps Mr. Watson knows the exact timeline.
I don't know the exact timeline, but this was discussed with Public Works and the parish engineer, and she felt that it was a good idea to proceed this way rather than constructing something that would have to be torn back out at a relatively soon.
Would you find out and let me know at the next meeting? I'd just like to know what, the term imminent is as far as the parish is concerned. Just so the folks out there will know if it's going to be a year before, it's widened and we get some safety in place on that road. Thank you.
We can do that. Thank you.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice makes a motion to approve. Commissioner Randolph. I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Any more comments? With waiver? Is there a waiver?
He didn't request it.
They declined a waiver on this agreement. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Fitzmaurice with a second by Mr. Randolph. Please vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Case number 2018-1103 FP, Maison du Lac, Phase 2, Ward 1, District 1, developer owner, WBB Realty LLC, engineer is Richard Lambert and Associates, Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Marty Dean. Staff, your comments?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on June 26, 2018. The inspection disclosed that all of the concrete roads are constructed and the subsurface drainage is functioning. There are no outstanding punch list items. General comment, number 1, a letter of acceptance and responsibility for the perpetual maintenance and operation of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider. 2, a negative bacteriological report relative to the construction of the project's water system is not being issued by LDH. Informational items, should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 1,337 linear feet, $25 per linear foot for $33,400 for a period of 2 years. Staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request. Mandatory developmental fees are as follows. Road impact fee, $1,077 per lot for 36 lots at $38,772. Drainage impact fee, $1,114 per lot for 36 lots at $40,104. Fees are due before the plats can be signed. The subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line.
Thank you. Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Again, Paul Marone on behalf of WBB Realty LLC and the Wayner family. With no outstanding punch list items, I have very little to say other than Mr. Wayner was very disappointed that he didn't have the negative bacteriological report and the letter from the utility company, but he promises to do better next time. So we would respectfully request your approval of this phase of Watercross.
Thank you. Anybody in the public would like to speak for or against this case? If not, I bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Darty.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I want to give Paul and Mr. Weiner and Richard Lambert an attaboy for coming up with basically a clean punch list here. And I would make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Darty. Commissioner Lauren.
Mr. Morone, if you would carry to Mr. Weiner and to yourself, if there was such a thing as a hero award, we would have granted to both of you. To my knowledge, this is the first time we've seen one with a clean, clear bill of health. We appreciate it.
Does that constitute a second? Oh, okay. Just asking. Okay, I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Darty and a second by Commissioner Lauren. Please vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Case 2018-1104 FP, Abita Lakes Phase 3B2, Ward 10, District 6. Developer owner, Abita Lakes LLC. Engineers Duplantis Design Group LLC. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Richard Tanner. Staff, your comments, please.
Postponement of the submittal is advised due to the fact that construction of the subdivision is not complete. The following outstanding items must be addressed. Construction of the pond outfall control structure was not complete as of June 28, 2018, and major erosion and bank stability issues exist near the pond outfall. See attached photograph. 2, numerous ditches throughout the subdivision need to be reworked to allow proper drainage flow to the detention pond. 3, street signage was not installed as of 6/28/2018. 4, cross-drain pipes are heavily silted in and must be cleaned out. See attached photograph. 5, very little vegetation has been established around the pond or road shoulders, which is leading to erosion and water quality issues.
Thank you. Is the developer here? Oh. Anybody for or against this case? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
To staff, you're proposing that we postpone, I mean, the developer's not here. Should we postpone indefinitely for a month? 1 month, you think?
It's your call.
I'll make a motion to postpone for 1 month.
I have a motion to postpone for 1 month by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner Doherty.
I'll second that, but, you know, just looking at the pictures, yeah, it may take them longer than a month, but by the same token, if they know it's postponed, and we certainly have the ability to postpone indefinitely if they have not taken some positive steps to get these problems taken care of. I realize we've had a lot of rain here lately, and we just had a little bit tonight, so, you know, we'll see what they can do in a month, and if they're sitting on their hands and not doing anything, then we'll postpone indefinitely next month. And I will second.
Your second motion. I have a motion to postpone by Commissioner Fitzmaurice and a second by Commissioner Doherty. And if anybody in the public has anything else to say, if not, I do have somebody, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mary Estelada. I abide in Avita Lakes. I may not have much to say about it, but I do know that they've been back there working and have been dragging their feet and haven't done the things that are said in the papers. So I don't know why no one else is here, not even from my board. I was just notified that the meeting was tonight and implored to come. So here I am, but nobody else is here. So I don't know what else to say, but I have ridden back there. It's in the back of my subdivision, and I hear the noise, but the work and the mud and everything else is just a mess back there, and they're not complying.
Ma'am, thank you.
They've left our streets a mess in the entire neighborhood, and they've done nothing to even address it and fix it. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, thank you very much,
Sure.
ma'am. And this commission will expect the individual to be here next month after this postponement to answer some of the questions
Is there
we have.
something in particular that I can report back to the board? Do you want me to say
Not to-
something
no.
particular that we're just postponing for a month? Is that all?
Yeah, so we was just gonna probably, I don't know what the vote's gonna be, but we're gonna probably postpone this for a month. And then next month, hopefully the applicant will be here to answer questions for the staff.
The applicant meaning the developer,
Yes.
Robert Bruno?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a motion to postpone by Commissioner Fitzmaurice with a second by Commissioner Doherty. Please vote. Oh, I'm sorry, still have some more. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just, obviously, we got a motion and a second to postpone for a month. I'm just curious, looking at what we're seeing here today, and we don't have a petitioner present, what the rationale is behind just postponing it indefinitely and let them come to us when they're ready, as opposed to it hitting our agenda next month, because I doubt this is a 1 month issue. Anybody have any discussion on that? I mean, I can't change the motion that's on the floor. I'm just kind of curious, think that
Right.
it'll cloud up our docket next month, and there's no chance this is going to be resolved, so.
I think legal would like to have something to say about that. See if I can get this. Okay.
Mr. Doherty, Mr. Richard, you pose good questions. However, I'd like to just remind the commission that once an application for final subdivision approval has been filed, there's a limitation on the period of time the commission has in which to act. And so if you postpone it for a month, you have to take action next month. You have to take action within 2 meetings, generally speaking, from the time the application is made. So you cannot postpone it indefinitely. So hypothetically, if you postpone it for 1 month, and it comes up again, and next month they've made no improvements, just hypothetically, then I believe you would have no choice but to deny the final subdivision approval.
Thank you, Mr. Casbon. Mr. Svant. Oop, I just got rid of Ms. Casbon. Sorry.
It's all right.
Do you have something to say?
Yes. I feel like they need to be notified, either by letter. This looks major, and what I think she's saying is not only where they're working, but the entrance of their subdivision, getting in and out, is a big mess. So we need to know what they can do to help the people that are there now and stuff, and that, they may have something in the works that they don't care that it's tabled for a while, but yet they still have to live there and get in and out. And I think we need to send some kind of letter that we know at least next month what's going on, that it could be postponed indefinitely. So.
Commissioner Casbon, that's a great bit of information. Commissioner Doherty again.
Yes, and this would be legal again. As far as the roads and keeping them clean and all the mud off of them and everything, don't we have something in our ordinances that says a developer must keep the roads clean and passable during the construction?
Yes.
Okay, so apparently they're not doing that. that would fall under code enforcement, right?
Yes.
Tara, I want to kind of put it back to you, or Jay. It doesn't make any difference. We just need to get code enforcement out there, and
Right,
if they're
well, we
not
can-
doing their job.
We can notify, we do send the developer note, everybody at the meeting gets notice of what action was taken at the planning commission meeting. So we will notify them that they were postponed, and we can also notify them that we've received a complaint about the condition of the subdivision and get them to address that.
And yes, they can call code enforcement and make a complaint that the roads are not clean.
Yes, I'll let you say something else.
It isn't just about the roads being cleaned, it's about the damage that all of the trucks, who is holding these developers accountable? The roads going to, I mean, Low Davis Road is just needs help, no matter what. And I'm sure it's coming, just hasn't come yet to that side of Low Davis Road. But into the entrance to our neighborhood, those trucks have damaged many of the roads. I mean, they're just cracks everywhere. You know, there's not just dirt on the road. What about the concrete on the roads that they drop? And just in my section where I live, where DSLD has built and had their rock boxes, and Mr. Tanner was gracious enough to get on them, and they came out and moved their things around. But they have left concrete in the cul-de-sac on the road. They're gone. When are they going to come back and fix it? Who enforces them to do that? Is that a phone call to Mr. Tanner again?
No, actually, it's a phone call to code enforcement also. We'll have the code enforcement officer review the whole area out there for this.
I appreciate that. It's just, residents live there, and
Sure.
the developers come along and they do their work with the contractors and so on, and no one holds them accountable. That's my complaint.
Thank you.
And it's not just with this Robert Bruno guy and his people working, but the previous people who've been in there working who are now gone, DSLD in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your input.
Thank you guys.
Commissioner Richard.
I'll just go ahead and back to Mr. Savant's comments. He's absolutely correct. I'm sorry I overlooked that, and definitely doesn't work. It may be 3 months instead of 2 months, but regardless, if we don't take action and within that time period, I think it's automatically approved. So we need to keep it on our agenda. But it is imperative that we at least let the developer know that when we get to that end, if the conditions are as they are now, we'll be denying it. So I just want to make sure he gets advance notice so that they have a chance to rectify it or come before us.
Thank you, Commissioner Richard. We have a motion to postpone by Commissioner Fitzmaurice with a second by Commissioner Darty. Any more comments? Please vote.
Motion postponed.
Thank you. Amendments to Charter 125 subdivision regulations, old business. Regulation number 17-092, entering parish right-of-way, Roger Drive, Ward 8, District 9, request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of gaining access to property. Debtor is Dentry Crawford. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Jean Belisario. The request by the debtor is to extend for 6 months. Staff, any comments on this one?
Honorable Commissioners, the above referenced resolution was adopted September 12, 2017. The resolution states that the petitioner must submit all documentation within 6 months of the adoption date. The petitioner has not furnished all documentation required within the 6-month period and is requesting extension of time. See attached email dated June 7, 2018, 12:07 p.m. Since the time has expired for the petitioner to furnish all documentation, the following actions required by the Planning Commissioner to allow the petitioner to proceed with the project. Extend the adoption date to July 10, 2018, thereby extending the 6-month submittal of documentation to January 10, 2019, and the completion date to July 10, 2020. The Department of Development Engineering has no objection to the extension.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? If not, I'd go back to the commission. Commissioner Darty.
I'm gonna do a lot of talking tonight, it looks like. I got a call from, Mr. Belisario stating that, Denny Crawford had contacted him and wanted this postponed until January. But I think we need to take action on this tonight. Am I right, Mr. Savant? We can't just postpone it.
Thank you. Mr. Doder, I mean, you're correct that the time period in which the applicant has to do the work has expired. However, it's not uncommon for matters to come before this commission when the time has already expired. And technically, you know, the work cannot be done even if the applicant was ready to do so now. So I don't think it's necessary for the commission to necessarily take action tonight. If it wishes to postpone the matter, it's able to do so.
Commissioner Darty, you have the floor.
He indicated that Mr. Crawford didn't have his paperwork ready, and I don't want the parish to lose maybe some rights by postponing it rather than extending it. Does that make sense?
I don't know what rights we would lose.
I don't know either, but
It was approved already, and he didn't submit the required documentation within the 6-month period that we give him from the time that you originally approved it. All you would be doing was giving him another extension of time.
But basically, that's what he's asking for, is to postpone it.
Who's asking?
Crawford.
Denty Crawford is asking for an extension of time.
Well, he was asking, tell Mr. Belisario that he wanted to postpone it, that he didn't have all his paperwork ready till January. Well, if we extend it, that gives him the January time frame to get his paperwork together, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, or I'm gonna put a motion on the floor to extend this to 7/10/18, which will make it due on 1/10/19, and to be completed by 7/10/20. Right? Okay. That's the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Darty to extend. Commissioner Randolph. A second by Commissioner Randolph to extend from 7/10/18 to 7/10/20. Is that correct? From 7/10/18 to 7/10/28. I mean, 7/10/18. 7/10/18 to 7/10/20, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, that's the motion. Any comments from the public? If not, let's vote.
Mr. Drum, would you like to vote?
Motion approved.
Okay, thank you very much. There's no, is there any new business?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to go back, I know we resolved this case, at least from our perspective, but I do want to go back and address some of the concerns that were brought up by both legal and Mr. Randolph about clarification on the ordinance that was brought before us regarding the 45 cubic feet that we talked about on the right-of-way and the pieces of equipment. We need some clarification going forward. I feel we made the right decision this evening based on what was in place, et cetera, but if it's subject to interpretation, you know, that's not good for us. I mean, we need a little bit further clarification. So my question is, can we make that request to the council to help us clarify that matter going forward?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not. I think we do that from a legal point. Legal can explain on it. Let's see.
I got it.
You got it.
I do? Yeah. Yes, Mr. Richard, and so that I'm clear, that what we're asking the council to review is what it perceives as its desire regarding the regulation of multiple cabinets at a particular location, and whether or not they can be combined to form a larger cabinet than what the current ordinance would allow, or they could be placed separately as long as they don't individually exceed the cabinet maximum size.
I'm more interested, I think we're all interested in the aggregate amount of cubic feet of all pieces of equipment, because per location, such that, are we talking about 10, 35, or 40 cubic feet items, or 100? I mean, the issue is in the aggregate, not so much an individual box, because whether they connect the boxes with a piece of sheet metal, or don't connect them, or leave 3 inches between them, that's not really our place. But in the aggregate, if there's a certain size limitation that the parish council would like us to hold in place, then we just need a little further clarification. So let's look at it in the aggregate. 45 cubic feet maybe individually, and for one location or one station, if you will, how large can it be?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Lauren.
Same question that Todd had, only I'll expound on it a little bit further. This, to my knowledge, is the first time this has come up. I'll guarantee you it's not going to be the last time it comes up, because as this technology, this box grew to the point that it was full, and that's what triggered the problem. We want to do what's right and what the council intended when they passed the ordinance. But we don't know what they intended, because it says ambiguous language, to my way of thinking. But by the same token, we need to have some kind of expediency to it, because there are people that are not going to be able to get, stop and think about it, how long you could last without telephone, internet, and television in your neighborhood. Okay? And how many subdivisions have we approved tonight? And they're all going to be draining off of that same network. So there's a sense of urgency to it. We just need to know what the intent is.
Thank you. Commissioner Casabon.
When you're looking at the ordinance, the size boxes and stuff, I think you have to take in consideration of, we have a lot of rule boxes that were bought, they bought, so many feet on our property. And that box has grown, but it's in a particular area, it's in a rural area. That if you're talking about the footage, we'll have to look at the location, I think, if you're gonna look into the size of the units on that piece. If you're just saying it can only be this, but where if it's a bigger piece, and I think that's what they've done in the rural areas, they've bought larger pieces of land, and they are in the rural area. I think this is the first time it's come up that it's been within a subdivision, and the size and the right-of-way. So we might be needing to look at the ordinance that, do we need to place them in the right-of-way, or do they need to be in their own contained area and stuff? So it'll get complicated, but at least it'll give us more direction.
Thank you. Commissioner Drum.
Also, I would like to know the maximum number of boxes that could be added, because if each one is considered an individual, how many can you put before you max out? You know, they right now with 2, it's fine. What if they want to put 2 more? Okay, then how much space is that going to take? So there must be a maximum amount of space that can be used, whether it's combined or individually, or we'll just be having stack on stack on stack.
Correct. And I think that's what Mr. Richard is speaking of, when perhaps looking at it in terms of an aggregate space size that's permitted, whether you're able to put 2 there or 10, what is the largest amount?
No, that,
Up there in the 4th and 5th grade stuff.
and then, of course, we have to start considering about the height as well,
Yes.
obviously, because of all the
May
demands.
I
that
ask a
are-
question?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Savant, this is going to be research strictly with respect to parish rights-of-way, correct? This wouldn't apply to private property that was purchased, as in Ms. Casbon's case.
Well, I mean, that's a good question, Bill, because there could conceivably be similar issues when,
I turned it on.
just to use AT&T as an example, there are other users like this, where instead of going into the right-of-way, they're going onto private property, either owned by a development and set aside for this particular use, or actually purchasing the right from a private property owner to place a utility box or boxes on that property. And how large of a space can that be? The property owner may say, hey, I'm charging you by the square foot, so as big as you want it is better for me. However, the surrounding neighborhood may say, well, wait a minute, why do we have this, what amounts to a mini power station in our neighborhood?
So are you implying then that if it gets too big, there may have to be a zoning change on the property?
No, I don't think so, but you asked the question of whether it might be looked at in terms of both placement in public right-of-ways only, and I'm saying no, it warrants, now that we're looking at it, to see if perhaps a review of placement on private property needs to be done also.
But our request is on the right-of-ways right now.
Correct.
Let's not make it so big. I think it's a great point.
Right.
Let's resolve what we have.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Commissioner Drum, you have another? Okay.
Everyone's microphone is on right now, so you just talk.
Any more conversation on this matter?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Got it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're done.
That was a good question.